Hi guys, Dave Pinson here. Today I want to talk about, the title of this video is Someone Else. So what is that about? Well, I think a lot of us, and me too, we're always thinking someone else will do it. You see something and you realize that there's a tragedy in the world, and these people are starving, or these people need Jesus, or someone needs to go over to China, or go to this hard place to go, and because Jesus said we have to go, and someone else will do it, or whatever it is, someone else will do it, right? So who is someone else, right? So it's not me, and so I wonder who it is, and I think that's a lot of times that's why people don't do they don't help people out the way that they should, the way that God probably wants them to do. Because what does He tell the rich young ruler? Right? This is where we're going to jump off here, and then we're going to see how long this might be. A very short video. I'm not sure. I don't have a lot in my heart. But He tells the rich young ruler. He says, "Oh, what must I do to be saved?" And then Jesus says, "Well." He names off, like, I think, four of the commandments. So I've done those. Now a lot of people say, "Well, the man lied because no one keeps the commandments." But you're not reading the scripture the way it's written, because he doesn't name all the commandments. He only named the ones the guy was keeping. You can keep some of the commandments. Some of the commandments are easy for some of us. Some are hard. We're all different people. Some of the sin that so easily besets me doesn't beset you, and vice versa, vice versa, right? So first of all, he didn't say, I follow all the commandments. He says, no, I've kept those from my youth. He goes, oh, then one more thing. Sell everything you have, give it to the poor, and follow me. And he says, he didn't do it because he had so much stuff. Because where your heart is, your treasure is. His treasure was in his stuff. And I did a video called Warning to the Wealthy Christian, talking about that, all the sadness of that. But the other thing is, somebody else will do it. And so the rich man, I don't know what happened to him. I don't know his life story. I don't know I'm hopeful that about people, and I always have this, even though I come across as Eeyore to some of my friends here and there, I always have this idea that people changed, and we don't really know the whole story. Like, I remember when I was a kid and I'd watch a movie, I didn't like the ending, I would change the ending in my mind, say that's not what happened, this is what happened. Old Yeller didn't really die. So I always had this thought, well, what if the rich young ruler came back and said, I'll do it, Lord. Or what if he didn't? What if he just went out about his life, and then every time he saw a poor person, he could hear the Lord say, "Sell all you have, and give it to the poor." And what if his excuse was, "Well, somebody else will do it." So I don't have to do that. Someone else will do it. Go into all the world, make disciples of everyone, and so that means that unreached people, because it says all the nations, it's talking about people groups, and there's 2 billion people that haven't been reached. Well, maybe I should go. No, someone else will do it. Or maybe I should send money to someone going. Well, someone else will do it. Or maybe I should, whatever it is. Maybe I should go. I see a kid on the street, and that kid is, they look terrible. I think, oh my gosh, there was a kid here, not that was staying with his family, that was taken in, and he had I don't want to tell this whole story, but he had a horrible childhood, and you see somebody like that, you think, well, maybe I should help him. So someone else will do it. Oh, don't worry, I'll just pray for you. Well, I'll let God take care of him. And sometimes God will convict you to let Him take care of it, because sometimes God has a plan that includes the suffering. But that's rare. Usually, if something's on your heart, you should probably do it, and somebody else will do it. So it's no big deal. Okay, so, and I asked a friend of mine, when we were getting ready to become missionaries and come sell everything we have, move to the Philippines, and do what we're doing now. I didn't know exactly what we'd be doing. I still think there's more coming that we don't know about, which I'm sure there is, because that's how God is. But I remember talking to a friend of mine, a church friend of mine, saying, did you guys ever give to missions? You ever think about that? Well, we let the pastor do that. You know, so what else? We'll let, and someone said the same thing about something else. They said, well, there's a ministry at the church, and they do that. I said, someone else. And so this is the problem with some of the organized. Well, I'm going to say organized church in general. It's because it's about someone else. We hired someone to do that. Well, are you going to tell them? Well, someone else. I don't have to tell them. You know what? I'll just give them a track. I'll invite them to church. That's what I'll do, and I'll let the pastor do it, because that's his job. I don't have to tell them about Jesus. I don't tell them I don't have to. Am I my brother's keeper? Well, yeah, technically you are. That's not that's a rhetoric question. Yeah, you are your brother's keeper. And who's my brother? Well, the thing about priesthood, I've been thinking about priesthood because I'm reading through the Bible again, and I'm in Exodus, and it's talking about the law and the priesthood and everything. And I just been thinking about, like, well, so we're a royal priesthood. Who are we the priesthood to? Well, what does a priest do? Well, a priest intercedes between the people and God, right? So obviously, we don't intercede between the Christian and God because every Christian has access to the Lord. So we intercede for the world. We're actually a priest to the world. The royal priesthood is that, I mean, we minister to each other too, because what did the priests do? Well, they fed the people what was left over, and they they did things for the people of God, right? So I guess there's a way we do that. It talks in Ephesians about every gift's been given. So the why is to build up the body, right? Or maybe someone else will do it, or or more importantly, to win this world for Christ. And then someone else will do it. Well, the pastor will do it. Well, the pastor is not going to be with you when you stand before the judgment seat of Christ on the last day of judgment, and not as a Christian, not as a non-Christian, but as a believer. It says, "What did you do with your life?" Well, Lord, I gave money to the church, and they took care of it. But someone else did it. What about this? Well, I can't do everything. Well, what did you do? Well, huh? What did I do? What did you do today? You can pray. That's one thing. Someone else isn't going to do your prayers, so you should pray. That's the number one thing. And I'll just close with this little story about someone else. I hope this makes sense. I hope it's good. It seems like a really profound idea to me. That's very simple and something I've done too. Is whenever I see a need somewhere and I feel like and then I just blow it off and I always have the same thought. Someone else will do it. But what if you're someone else, right? So Gladys Allward, I've told this story before, but it's one of my favorite stories, and I keep telling it over and over and over again because I love the story. I wish they'd make movies like this. Forget about all those movies that they make on PureFlix and all. A lot of that stuff is so lame. I wish they'd make some movie about some really strong believers, some really amazing stuff besides the chosen, some other people that we could. Not that the chosen is not amazing, but there's a lot of people in history that have done amazing things for Christ, right? So there's this little lady. She wasn't old, little lady named Gladys Allward. She's 4 foot something. I think she's not even 5 foot tall, Philippine style. She lived in England, and she felt a calling to go to China. They wouldn't let her go. You can't go to China. Look at you. You're just a little woman. You didn't go to Bible college. You didn't go to missionary training. You're not part of our society. We're not sending you. You're not a missionary. What are you talking about? So the organized religion said no. She said, no, I'm going. So she went. She got a ticket to go to China by train, right? And this was before World War II. So she went through Russia. Russia was a scary place. Still is, but it was a scary place then too. Um, Before the war, the revolution. They had Russia. A lot of weird stuff's happening in Russia. We're not getting into the whole history of Russia. But she gets arrested in Russia. Somebody accuses her of being a spy. What are you doing here? You're from England. What are you doing here? Look at your papers. Who are you? Well, I'm on my way to China to be a missionary. I want to help people. I want to help the children or something. I feel like God's calling me to. No, you're a spy. So they put her in prison. And somebody in prison, we don't really know the whole story, but somebody there, some Russian people got her out and helped her escape. She got on a boat. She went to China. So somebody helped her. God intervened, and so someone helped her get to China. So she gets to China, right? She gets to China, and she starts trying to be a missionary and doing this, that, and the other. And at that time, they outlawed what do you call it? Feet binding in China. Where they used to bind the children, the girls' feet, so they would have tiny little feet. So they outlawed that. And she goes, "I want." So this guy, he's called what's he called? The Manchurian. So the Manchurian Mandarin. So the Mandarin is like he's kind of like a governor or something. He's in charge of this section of like a county or whatever it is where they live, right? And so he likes her because he's not a Christian, but he just likes her attitude and the way she speaks, the way she carries herself, and that he can tell that she loves everyone there. He doesn't know why. He just says she really loves the Chinese people. Hey, I'm going to hire you. I'm going to hire you. And because of that, she was able to do more missionary work because she had an income. I'm going to hire you, and I want you to go around and I want you to help these little girls understand about not binding their feet and how it's so much healthier. And I want you to teach them how to live in unbound feet. I forgot the name. She had a title, and then World War II happens. And in the meantime, she used the money to start a little school. It's kind of like it became like an orphanage. So she started an orphanage, and it's a missionary orphanage. And the Mandarin liked her. He wasn't a Christian, but he allowed all that. They didn't have communism yet in this area, and so he allowed her to. They didn't have communism yet in China where she was. So he allowed her to have this because he thought, well, she loves the people. That's all. I don't care. So when World War II hits and the Japanese come and they're going to horrible things that they were doing, putting people in camps. And she takes the children, over 100 children, and she goes like 100 miles or something on foot with these children up over the mountains. Saves all these children. And just amazing ministry. This little woman, she wasn't strong, she wasn't anything, and a lot of those kids became Christians and became ministers and fled during the communist thing and all that. She winds up, I think, in Korea or somewhere with another orphanage, and she does all this amazing work. And then at the end of her life, she's in England and she's telling the stories. And somebody said, "Well, why did you go?" And she says, "Well, I believe." She says, "I firmly believe that God called a man to go. But for some reason, he didn't go. He didn't accept the call. So I went instead of him. Why? Because that man said someone else will do it. And sometimes they will. But could you imagine if that man was a Christian that God had called him? Sure he was. And said, "Yeah, why don't you go to China?" And he says, I can't do it. I don't like Chinese. I don't like Chinese people. I don't like Chinese food. I like it here in England or whatever. Could you imagine in heaven? Here's the thing. So I'll close with this. This is good. I didn't even plan it out like this. So could you imagine you're in heaven? Then after you go through the judgment seat and you're in heaven and you see this person there and they're wearing your crown. Don't ask me how you know it's your crown, but you know how you receive a crown? You receive rewards for the things you've done at the Bema seat of Christ. You receive reward. Well done, good and faithful. You receive rewards for things you've done. And someone has one of your rewards. And you look at them and you say, "Hey, where'd you get that? Why do you have that reward?" And, and they say, "Well, because the person who was called, the Lord told me the person who was called to do this job said someone else will do it." So don't be that. Don't do that. You do what God's called you to do and pray about it. If you feel a need or a desire or something outside of that, don't expect the church to do everything for you. That's not what church is for. Not at all. God bless you guys. That's all for now.